Oh, I guess it worked. I don't know. The little picture changed. All my stuff ready. Okay. Okay.
It's not 10 o'clock.
Okay. Michaela said don't start. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Y'all ready to get started? So welcome to the Board of Managers for the 4th of March. If you guys don't mind, before we get into the agenda, we've got some faces that I don't recognize. I mean, because really it's my fault. So anyway, would y'all mind introducing yourselves if it's your first time here? Like starting with you, sir.
Stanley Fees with Cobb Finley and Associates.
Okay, Cobb Finley. Yes, sir.
Dan Huebner, Martindale Water.
Okay, great. And you're our new trustee, right? At Martindale. Yeah, I recognize you from the other night. Is there anybody else over here? I recognize most of you guys. You, sir, from Crystal Clear? Okay.
Phil, can I just have you introduce everyone so the
Huh?
people who are new here know us too?
Okay, we could do that. Let's just start with Michael.
Sorry.
I was just discriminating based on who I didn't recognize, but okay.
Michael
Yeah.
Saldana, Crystal Clear, Special Utility District.
Okay, we'll do it again. Why not?
Stanley Fees, Cobb Finley and Associates.
Okay.
Dan Huebner, Martindale Water.
Thank you, Brandon. Back there in the corner, please. Okay, Cibolo. Okay, welcome, Cibolo. Okay, great. All right, cool. Of course we know you. Okay. Okay. Brian again.
Brian Glover, I'm the operations manager for Greenhouse.
Okay, Isaac down here.
Isaac Akiasi, City Mayor.
Bobby Rodriguez with Canyon Regional Water.
Adam Telfer with Canyon Regional Water Authority.
Brandon Rohan, GM of East Central, President of Canyon Regional.
Okay, welcome, Brian. Brian's our new controller, by the way, you guys. And then we all know Chelsea. Could you go over there, Michaela?
Michaela Meredith, Administrative Assistant, Canyon Regional.
We all know her. Joe. Thank you.
Devin Montoya, Springs Hillside.
Cool. Y'all all know Carrie, right?
I'm Kerry.
Yeah. And if I've not met you personally, I'm Phil. I'm the GM of Green Valley, and luckily the chair of the Board of Managers here today. So, okay, if we'll get started, first item up is open the meeting and any corrections to the minutes. Did anyone have a chance to see if there was anything that we needed to adjust in the minutes? And it's pretty straightforward. So there you have it. Okay. We'll move on to the water precipitation and drought update. And I think Adam's going to do that one.
Yeah, I'll just make a few comments about the drought report that y'all received this morning. So on the first, or actually the second slide here, we're kind of entering into extreme drought season earlier this year than we have typically in past years. And so you can just kind of see all that red in Guadalupe County and San Antonio, or Guadalupe Basin, San Antonio Basin. I think it's really going to have an impact on us for this summer. So just to keep that in mind. And then really nothing more to comment on. Just some of the usual stuff. There hasn't been very much rain up in Kerrville. For those of you that are new here at Lake Dunlap, Canyon buys or purchases water from GBRA. We also purchase it over at the Hayes Caldwell plant that comes out of Canyon Lake. And water that feeds into Canyon Lake is generally in the Kerrville areas, the head of the Guadalupe. So we keep a close eye on Kerrville and what happens with the weather out there. So hopefully, you know, if we do our rain dance, whatever, we want to do it in Kerrville so that it can fill up those lakes. But,
So Adam, I think it would be safe to say that similar to last year, we may enter into a curtailment GBRA.
Yeah, we may enter it. GBRA is in stage 2 right now. I think, kind of looking at the trend over the last few years, pretty much probably will stay into stage 2 till towards the end of the year. But then once we get into stage 3, and if there isn't significant precipitation, what we saw last time was that stage 3 was very quick. So it went from stage 3 to stage 4 just in a month or so time. So yeah, I mean, that's something that we may need to consider, start planning for once again.
So what it means to the systems, you gotta start planning. Some sort of curtailment like last year. Same way we did like solid systems, as we can,
Yeah.
Better last year on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, y'all did work well, and we actually accomplished our goals during that period. So
So something to look at.
no, not anymore on that.
Okay, out of 3 water person.
Yeah, there's been some questions on the Board of Trustees about this report that I give on usage. This is the same report I give to the Board of Trustees. So I just kind of wanted to go through and outline it for you. The first page of the Lake Dunlap, Wells Ranch, and Hayes Caldwell usage report is in million gallons. So it basically says, how many million gallons we produced at each plant for the month and what our average was and what our peak day was. Information that, may seem kind of boring, but it's good to have. It's information we give to TCQ as well. When you get to the second page, there is a raw water usage. And this just basically goes through the raw water that we have used, and it's in acre feet. That's how we report to the state, is in acre feet. And so you can kind of see where we're at throughout the year. And TCQ follows my mind went blank, I'm sorry. Follows a calendar year on reporting water rights. And so then when you get to the third page, I like to compare the trending with the target acre feet. So where our target is at whatever stage we're in right now, the target is listed in the next to the right-hand side of the month there. That's the target for each month. And then you continue to go to the right and you can see where we're actually at and what we actually used. That also is in acre feet. So it kind of gives us a running tally of how we're doing throughout the year. And then on the graphs themselves, the annual contract is that green line that's dotted across the top. And then Lake Dunlap, Wells Ranch, Hayes Caldwell usage report. On the fourth page, it goes through and it basically has what we sold in acre feet to each one of the utilities. And then it has the total at the end of the chart for what we sold. And the question that's been asked is why is the sold water different from the raw water? And the answer is that, well, there's loss that happens between the raw water and the sold raw water. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later when we talk about the water use survey.
And so that was the Board of Trustees question, was the difference between raw and treat. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, it's water loss during production. I think, Adam, and I'll just tell you, I think this is a very useful report to me. I look at it every month. So I appreciate the way you've got it laid out. I personally like it. There's one question I have for you that I just noticed today. So like on the first page, when we're looking at the peaking for Dunlap, Wells Ranch, and Hayes Caldwell, what I think is going to happen is it happens every year in the summertime is when that peaking factor starts slamming, right?
Yeah.
Is there any danger with us averaging right now 11.31 peak for Lake Dunlap, for example?
It's not a peaking average. It's the peak day for the month that's recorded here.
Okay.
But it is, the usage overall, the months of January and February line up really well with what we did last year. It's a little bit more. Last year, though, in February, we went into drought restrictions.
Yeah.
So it's tracking well with where we're at right now, but you're right. Taking a look at that peak number, because we have a cap at each one of our plants on what we can peak as.
Yeah.
And it's pretty early to be peaking at 11 MGD for Lake Dunlap, 12 for Wells Ranch.
Yeah.
What are the plants rated, Adam? Can you let everyone know, just so they can understand what the TCEQ rating is?
Yeah, the rating for Lake Dunlap Water Treatment Plant is 14.4 MGD. Of course, for those of you that have been around for a while, you know that we're trying to get that rating up there higher, or where it needs to be with the nanostone filters. The rating for Wells Ranch is right around 9. Let me see. My memory serves me, and I have it written in front of me.
Yep.
It's 9.3 something MGD.
Okay.
However, that plant will do more. It'll do up to 12, 13 MGD. And the rating for the Hayes Caldwell Point plant is 3.4 MGD. If everything is working better and correctly out there, it can do a little bit more than that. But right now, that's what the rating is.
Okay. I don't know. I pay attention to that closely, like this summer. And so, inside our system, I'm sure you guys are doing the same. I'm bringing another 500,000 gallon ground storage tank online, and I'm going to look to work with Canyon Regional this summer to change what time our system is peaking. And I'm hoping to reduce some of our peaking time off of other peaking times, so the plant doesn't sustain peak for several hours, in the summertime. So that's an ongoing project operationally I'm trying to get done with you guys, just so you're tracking, to try to help that. So anyway, okay. Any questions on production update?
If I could really quick, just talk about as far as production is concerned, just mention this, that we did submit, as I'm sure all of you did, your Water Development Board water use survey. It was due by March 1st. And, I went through, and as a wholesale water district, we are actually not required through the Water Development Board to put together a water loss report. We're lucky we get out of that. However, I know that you retail suppliers have to go through a lot to get that report done.
We do.
But through the water use survey, I'm able to tell what our loss is, and so I went through, and the numbers were pretty good from last year. So at Lake Dunlap, at the water treatment plant, we had 1% loss, and that loss, what it is it's us cleaning our clarifiers. We have to use water for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's us also backwashing our filters, which we do every day, several times a day. Most of that water makes it back to the headworks. Some of it gets to the point where we can't use it anymore. And when it gets to that point, we irrigate this field out here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a contract with a rancher, a local rancher. He runs his cattle out here, and TCQ considers that harvest.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we do out here. So that 1% is really, most of it is that. It's backwash, and it's that. I've seen it go up to 3 and 4% some years. It depends on what's happening in the plant, where we have to use more water, but last year was 1%, which is pretty good.
Okay.
And then out in the distribution for Lake Dunlap, it's right around 4%. For Hayes Caldwell, for Wells Ranch. Wells Ranch kind of has to be treated the same way as Lake Dunlap, because it all goes in the same pot, if you will, out in the pipeline. Again, the Wells Ranch water treatment plant, in the plant was about 1% loss last year. And that's due to backwash and filters, our sand filters out there. Some of that water does make it back to the headworks, Some of it does not, and it goes to some settling ponds. And then we have a discharge permit with TCQ that we can discharge that out to the Sandy's Creek, as it's called, or we can land apply it on the facility out there. And then the Hayes, and then the transmission main, it was also at a 4% because it's kind of treated the same way with Lake Dunlap. And then getting to the Hayes Caldwell, and I'll end with this. Hayes Caldwell, the water that's used within the treatment plant, we get it from the San Marcos River. We also get it from Lake Dunlap through the GBRA leased pipeline. We're at just barely less than a 1% use inside the plant. And then the distribution or the transmission system doesn't travel very far. We are at less than 1% for that as well.
Okay. All right. Those are really good numbers, actually.
They're very good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's unusually good.
So, there's a couple different ways to do water loss, right? You can get yourself down to where you say there's only a little bit. Because you say, I didn't lose that water. I know exactly where it went. The fire department took it, right? And stuff like that. Are you doing that kind of calculation? Because
No, I'm including all of the water loss.
Interesting.
And so it was very low this last year.
I would think at surface water treatment plant, we'd be losing quite a bit more in the process. So it's really good. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and I actually have the in a folder here. If y'all want it, the water use surveys for each facility, and it looks just like it does when the Water Development Board spits it out. But what I added is I added those. I added these percentages of water loss and what those numbers were for the end of the year, so you can actually take a look at it.
So big drivers for us is flushing, of course, dead end line flushing. That's a big driver. Leaks is a big driver. I mean, so like, my whole distribution system, I had like 8% last year water loss, which I think is pretty damn good, right? Considering, but y'all don't have to do flushing and stuff, right? On the
We don't have to do flushing.
Yeah.
We don't do flushing. If we do have any significant loss, and it's usually through a line break, or it's through somebody hooking onto our hydrants and taking water that way.
It's kind of interesting since they don't they don't flush. We take all the flushing loss, right? I mean, so we do. Okay, I got it. All right. Thanks, Adam. That's really enlightening. I didn't know those numbers ever. So thank you.
Yeah. And if anybody wants those water use surveys, just let me know. I'll provide them for you.
Okay.
And then just really quick, also, I'm sorry. We did submit our TCQ Tier 2 submissions for 6 facilities that Canyon Regional is responsible for. So all of you being managers of water districts, I'm sure you know what the Tier 2 reporting is.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Awesome. So that's Adam. We go to number 4, water and treatment plant improvement project updates.
Okay, here at Lake Dunlop, the strainer improvement project, moving forward, we're having a discussion after this meeting to confirm the product size and for the filters back here.
Okay.
So once that's done, that'll be moving forward a little bit more. They're doing laying some HTP outside for the temporary strainer currently.
Okay.
And that's what where we're at right now.
Okay.
Then we go down to the additional membrane. That's with Garber. I believe we're still reviewing some documents there, trying to get that moving forward.
So it'd be safe to say that both these projects are being overseen tightly by the construction committee? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I'm going to make you repeat this because I was chit-chatting with Adam instead of doing my duty of listening to your report. Did you talk about the potential issue with the strainers and the submittal?
Yeah, so that after this meeting, we'll have another meeting to confirm the height and fitting of the strainers in that room back there. There was some, it slowed down a little bit just to confirm everything will fit and be manageable to work on. So after this meeting, we're confirming that and we're moving forward. As I said, they're still able to work on the temporary strainer outside, so they're starting to work and get pipe going on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we asked the design consultant for updated design drawings, just small changes, but in, such a tight space, even those small changes can make a difference. So we didn't feel comfortable proceeding with just red lines and field changes.
All right, cool. Wells Ranch.
Wells Ranch, right now, they're doing some minor electrical work at Leisner and Wagner and at Wells Ranch. We're supposed to be getting some more information on the pending gear that's supposed to come in March. So I'm waiting on a email back on that to confirm its arrival, and then we'll coordinate with operations to get everything installed.
Okay. So they're still, so the generators are on site. We've all seen them. So they're just still working on, putting the electrical lines into the building and everything.
Yeah, they're doing the best they can to keep moving forward without the product that they need here.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's supposed to come in March. I've got an email out, received email that they're going to confirm everything on a date that'll arrive.
Yeah, I'm going to say this wrong, but what's the big box that has to go in the, the little power room over there? Is it called switchgear or something?
Switchgear ATS?
Uh-huh. Is it in?
Not that I know of.
Is it one of those long lead items?
Yes, and that's what should be coming in March this month.
So you do have a date, shipment date
No,
in
no.
March?
I'm
Okay.
we got a month, but we're narrowing down a date.
Okay, I get you. I was just, tangentially, I was sitting here thinking, we ripped out a bunch of things, right, to make room for this generator project. What are we doing with it? Like, are we making good use of whatever, surplus there is? I don't know. I'm thinking, copper wire. I don't know what's there.
Yeah, as far as the way I'm doing is keeping all salvage we can.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep as much rebar, everything we can if we need, set
Yeah.
aside.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, right? Because it's in litigation.
Oh, I see.
It's in litigation, so it's a little bit weird, but I think we did get permission, I want to, sometime last year to be able to use some of the
Use it.
components from the attorneys.
Well, it's just a lesson I learned. I mean, so some of the, because we replace equipment all the time, and then, we have a tendency to just chunk it in the back of the yard sometimes, and that stuff has value. I just want to make sure that we police up the value and use it for, for whatever we can get for it, right?
Any kind of salvage.
Yeah. And if we're under litigation, the common sense thing would seem to me is that we put it somewhere and store it until such time that we could surplus it appropriately, right? So.
Yeah, it obviously changes damages model if you can use it for something else and that,
exactly.
so makes it a little bit challenging. And on the litigation, we've got some depositions scheduled in April. We've got the mediation scheduled for May, and then we have court date scheduled for July.
Okay.
And I think that's probably the last real update or change we're going to have. That's all pretty much set in stone. I think the April depositions will probably be the end of depositions, at least that I can see. And then the May date for mediation, I think is nothing set in stone, but I'm going to say it's pretty set in stone.
Okay.
I can't imagine we will go any further after these next depositions. I just can't fathom it, but we'll see.
I would hope so. But we have what y'all call it? You have a committee on there, litigation committee, right? Cool. So I was going to ask too, so refresh my memory, Bobby. So did this project does include some Wagner generation, doesn't it?
Wagner, Leisner, and Wells Ranch.
So I've not been to those sites to see what's going on. Is there work ongoing at those sites too?
At Leisner right now, they're just doing some small electrical work, anything to get ahead and not waste time.
Okay.
So it's just-
Are like the generators ordered for those two places? Because I know generators take forever. Do we already have the generators? is what
There are
I'm saying?
generators there.
They're already there. So it's a matter of just making them
Work.
connected and work. Yeah. Okay. Because we just let a generator contract, right? And the generators are the long lead time item, so we have, and normally we talk about this, we don't talk about the Wagner and the Leisner part of it, but the Wagner and the Leisner part of it is just as important as the Wells Ranch part is, because, I know I'm affected by that. We have power outages, at those two locations, you're affected by it. So that's a big deal too. I just want to make sure that we are inclusive and talk that issue too.
And I guess it's been a long time since we talked about where those issues were. At Leisner, did we end up having major issues at Leisner, major amount of work that had to be done? I thought the generator was sized appropriately.
I don't know the background on why and what.
Okay.
I inherited the project, so I'm just trying to move forward with it, but there is a generator, each one there, and there's two over at Wells Ranch.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it was, I guess the components were undersized to run it.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to get into that. I just thought Leisner ended up not being such a bad situation compared to Wells Ranch, compared to Wagner. I think Leisner wasn't as much work that had to be done there. But I also want to bring up, just so you know, it's on everyone's radar, when we start talking about projects and facility needs and, you know, capital improvements that are important for making sure that we can deliver 100% of the water. As a reminder, this generator project came from the remaining money from Wells Ranch 2. And there was not enough money remaining in the Wells Ranch 2 project to put generators at every well site and to make sure we had everything we needed to run on emergency power. So as we start contemplating whether we need, you know, an additional tank or additional pumps, additional filtration, we know we're going to need additional generators to be able to do 100% of the water.
And not to mention the well field too.
Yes.
Well, I was going to ask, do we, Adam or David, how many more installations do we need for generators after this project is done? Okay.
Yeah, so suffice to say a lot. Okay. All right, I appreciate that one. Thanks for the work on that one. I mean, it'll be nice to get the litigation done and get more importantly, the generators up. You know, I mean, hopefully, you know, anyway, it'd be nice to get it done. Okay, Hayes Caldwell.
Phase one, we're working on closing that out. You know, we just got to get the substantial completion list done. I've got an email out trying to confirm when some of the things will be completed. General contractor's still not super responsive, but we're pushing to get them as close, you know, as get them out of the way, get them completed and moved on. So I'm hoping to find out more information today.
I reached out at a higher level to DN Tank, and despite that, with that, even we still can't seem to get a target date from them. So they're giving Bobby bits and pieces of update here and there, you know, but they're being very reactive to their subs. And it's just clear they're not in a big hurry to get this closed out. So we'll just keep holding their feet to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
The tank is in use, so it's not like we're sitting there waiting to put it in service. But
So you're talking about the new concrete plant? I mean, tank?
yes, sir. Yeah. They're just, you know, it's pretty clear that they shouldn't be the GC on a project.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem. So lesson learned on that one.
So it appears, so I'm looking at the usage report for Hayes Caldwell right now. It appears to me, and I don't get water from Hayes Caldwell, right? So I don't look at these numbers, but it appears like the entities are easing up on the plant. They don't look like they're pulling a lot of water from Hayes Caldwell. I mean, is that true?
Yeah, County Line, especially, but also Crystal Clear have not taken their full amount for a year or more now.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. And so what you were just describing is, I don't know, I think I missed the boat. So without saying again everything, say again the gist of what you just said, Bobby.
We're working on getting the project closed out on the substantial completion walk. It's
Okay.
been a little difficult getting the general contractor to get everything completed.
Okay, so you're in tank. Okay, I got it. So we haven't even talked about the filtration yet. We're just talking about project
That's
closeout
correct.
of the tank that's created.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, who was the general on that, by the way?
DN tanks.
Okay, that's interesting because I just built a DN tank too, and we're in closeout right now, and we haven't had any issues. So maybe the general contractor is your biggest issue there. I don't know, but I didn't have a problem with
They are
ours.
the general contractor and Keely's a sub.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why it worked out that way, but it's been a little difficult getting them on board to get everything completed in a timely
Okay.
fashion.
But the tank's in service though, right? Okay. Is the other tank, well, I guess the other tank's out of service because I saw pictures of the inside of it, right? Okay. Okay, good enough. Any questions about the tank situation at Hayes Caldwell?
We're still evaluating the repair of the existing tank.
Yes. Yes.
Dynamite's the right answer. I'm not even being facetious, but anyway. Okay, but what about the the membrane filtration units and the pilot study and all that?
Let me jump on phase 2 real quick. That's the
Okay.
ozone. So we're still working on putting the duct bank and SCADA in. Operations is going to give us some conduits that we can tie into the building without having to bore in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're waiting on that. As far as the mobile membrane filtration and pilot study, that is going to fall on somebody else to give you information. As far.
Then one last time, I'm remembering back to when we went to Hayes Caldwell, right? So I'm actually, remembering what we did when we got there. We had 2 trailers sit beside each other. One of the trailers was in service and the other one wasn't in service. Is the one that is not in service, is that one in service yet?
It is not.
It is not in service, okay.
What's our timeline?
We have, so we have actually a meeting this afternoon to speak with Paul and Ardura over both trailers 1 and 2. The heartburn that TCQ has with each trailer is that they were not designed with a block and bleed system. And the trailers, unfortunately, are small, that it's going to be difficult to be able to do block and bleed on them. And so that's something that we're going to be discussing. And then also they would like to have, of course, once we have that out of the way, they want to have drawings and plans. And then we have to, so the first trailer, that's pretty much it. There's block and bleed, and we're trying to figure out how we can isolate, because the trailer's sort of split in 2. And when we need to do what's called a clean in place or CIP, the initial thought was we're going to have to shut down the whole trailer and do a CIP. But that's 6 hours of having the whole trailer down, and we really can't afford that. So we're going to be looking at different options, like can we split the trailer in half and have half of it shut down, but still utilize the other half? And those are some of the questions we're going to be talking with them about. And then there's for the second trailer, we do have an approval, a conditional approval from TCQ that we received last October, where we need to go through each one of those conditions, and most of them are taken care of, but again, it's going to be a block and bleed issue on that one as well.
And I don't know if this is the time to ask, but I'll just circle back to the bin 2 classification. Is TCQ moving? Are we getting any headway on that, Chelsea? And I don't know if this is the right time for it, but I just wanted
Always the right time. I love it.
Always the right time.
Yeah. So I don't know if we want to speak to the benefits of getting out of a bin 2 to a bin 1 and what that would do for the treatment as far as the run times and the production possibilities.
Do you want to take this one?
I think we might tag team this. But yes, we are getting traction. So we do continue to build out a full packet, kind of like evidentiary style for TCEQ, that will have narrative and a number of attachments, including new samples that we're in the process of collecting. We want to have a few that are consistent to go into that meeting with. At the same time, and I think our ambition, well, I don't know, I hesitate to say this because it's not on the calendar, but our ambition is to have a meeting with TCQ by the end of April, in part to give us time to prepare everything thoroughly and, circulate it as needed, but also because Focused Advocacy, the legislative consultant, is doing some work to tee us up for a constructive meeting. So they're already have talked to a number of people at TCQ and other leadership in Austin to flag this, to explain the issue to them, so that hopefully when we do have the meeting, there will be some baseline understanding when we walk into the room. So we are making progress. It's just not something we want to rush. We want to just, build a solid case. And I know that Adam and others in the operations team are working really hard to pull together a lot of the very detailed information about production time, how much water we actually miss out on. We have a number now for the FTE requirement just for this component. So we're getting there.
Some of the benefits, Mike, are that, well, first of all, is like, how much does this how much does this cost us and how much water are we losing in the process? If we were in a bin 1 category, then we would have to perform integrity tests once a week, which is kind of, when they went through the LT2 sampling process, they listed everybody as a bin 1 category. Then you went through the sampling process, and then you decided who was going to be in bin 1 and bin 2. And it was kind of unfortunate. Canyon Regional was, the first round of sampling was between 2006 and 2008. And they were sampling for Cryptosporidium and Giardia. And if you got over a certain threshold on either one, then you were going to be considered or thought of like, we're going to put you in a different bin category than 1. So that happened to Canyon Regional here at Lake Dunlap. It also happened because we're receiving water up at the Hayes Caldwell plant, happened up there as well. And so they categorized them both in the bin 2 category right after the first round of sampling. The second round of sampling in the LT2 was 2015 to 2017. Canyon Regional did not go over the threshold at any of those sites for Cryptosporidium or Giardia. We did get some Giardia in those samples, but it wasn't over the threshold. So, you know, we've made attempts before. We've gone to TCEQ and we've asked them to consider us just because of how that sample set worked out. What I like about Focus Advocacy and Chelsea's approach is we're bringing a lot more to the table this time around, and we're definitely going to be able to try to get TCEQ to the point where they feel like they're teaming with us in this. But the other benefit as well is the wear and tear on the system. So every day we're having to perform these DITs, and that's every day that there's wear and tear on the system. Operators having to maintain that system, and you know, you have to drain these things, and that water has to go somewhere. Eventually, it goes to waste. You know, so there's water, time, money, and wear and tear.
How long are they down when you're doing the daily testing?
Well, I'll use Lake Dunlap as an example. Lake Dunlap, the test actually only takes 10 minutes long. So it seems like, oh, well, that's a short test. But leading up to the test, there's some time, and coming out of the test, there's some time. The full test lasts probably about half an hour to about 40 minutes. It's varied in the past, but the full test is right around there.
This is a DIT, right? That's
Yes,
what you call it?
integrity test.
Is it daily or direct?
It's daily.
Daily integrity test. Okay. That's
No, it's direct integrity. I'm sorry.
Daily direct integrity test.
Yeah, it's a direct integrity test.
See, that's why I ask these questions to make sure I'm not stupid. So it's direct integrity test performed daily because you're in a bin 2 status versus a bin 1 status.
Right.
And so when we attack in April, you said April, so now it's April. When we attack in April at TCEQ, we're attacking on both Hayes Caldwell and Lake Dunlap, right?
Oh yes, yeah. We're taking the whole enchilada to them because that's what was in the LT2 sample period.
Yeah.
And as Chelsea said, we are currently, one of our strategies is to sample for Cryptosporidium now. And we're doing it in the same way that we did it back in the LT2 days, just so that whatever information we present, it was exactly like it was back then.
Okay.
And the real hope is that we don't go over the threshold in any of these samples.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't know if we're going to use them.
And since Wells Ranch is a different filtration system, it doesn't have these. It's a sand filter. It's not the same, right?
Because of the wells, and they're not under the influence of surface water. They're not subject to the LT2 sampling.
Okay.
So,
And Adam and Chelsea, correct me if I'm wrong, TCEQ doesn't have a formal off-ramp for this, right? And so part of all the work you're doing is trying to prove up that what we're doing is enough to treat the water in a way that's still going to be safe for the public and show them what an off-ramp could look like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Too subjective.
There really wasn't a plan going past the second round of sampling, either on EPA's part or TCEQ's. And so it's like, what if a system does really well? And it's kind of like, we want to help them write that plan. And
That's
The,
good. It's good.
the other benefit is there's a lot, and I'll finish with this. This is a topic I love to talk about.
Don't worry, it's Mike's.
Yeah.
fault. Talk
There's-
as long as you want.
There's when it comes to values in a DIT, when you're testing that membrane, underneath a bin 2, they have much more stringent values that are harder to reach in that test. So if you're to be able to get recategorized as a bin 1, then they loosen up on those values. Values such as you fill them up with air, you have to hold that air for 10 minutes, and there's allowable loss of PSI in that system. Well, if you go to a bin 1, you're allowed a little more loss. And then also where you start that pressure test at is another, what they call the LVR, the lower, I forget the acronyms, but it's the lower limit. Anyway, where you start that test off with your PSI, and can you indeed not go below that lower pressure in the test? It's really 2 values that they're looking for. How much you lose, and do you go below that lower level? And so those get less stringent.
Okay. Well, okay. So that was brilliant and interesting, Michael. Thanks for asking. I want to go back to the trailer thing for a second, right? So when did we go in November to Hayes Caldwell? Is that where we went? So November was Hayes Caldwell, November was here, December was Hayes Caldwell, and then January was Wells Ranch, right? I can't even remember where we've been. But anyway, so my point is, so in December, we had the trailers sitting there in December, and the trailers were probably sitting there for what, about 3 months before that? I don't recall when they were delivered. But anyway, the point that I'm getting to, it seems like, for the Hayes Caldwell folks, that those trailers have been sitting there for a little bit of time. So I would be really interested if I was one of them on like when we're going to get the production level back up, through the trailers. I mean, do y'all have any, thoughts on when that would happen?
We should know a lot more after this meeting and be able to put a better beat on it. There was apparently some internal miscommunication where there was a stall there for several weeks and there wasn't really any progress. So that's been corrected and we're back on track. The good thing is the second trailer, if we get in a bind, the TCQ has told us that we can put it into service if we have to. So if for some reason, we had a catastrophe, we can put it in service now. And we're going to keep pushing to get everything wrapped up so we can get the final approval.
Well, it seems like the members are working with you guys on that, right? I mean, just evident by the production numbers, folks are not trying to pull off Hayes Caldwell.
Yeah, that's been a huge.
So I mean, I would think we'd want to, I hope the meeting goes well. I don't get water from Hayes Caldwell, but I mean, if I was one of them, I would probably be asking those questions. So anyway, all right, cool. Let's keep rolling. We're kind of slow today because Adam's so smart, but that's okay. Any question about that? You want to touch pilot study? Anything else? Michael, any questions you have for Hayes Caldwell? Okay.
I do for the pilot study.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think at the construction committee meeting, if I remember correctly, Ardura is still working on those on the report. I think they had one of the respondents who was a little bit slow in getting the data to them, and then that will go to TCEQ. Is that the right time frame we're looking at here?
Yes, right now, Ardura, there were a couple of things that came in late. One of them was one of the pilot studies. They got their information late to Ardura because the lady that was putting it together with the vendor, she went into labor and had a baby. So that sort of
Congratulations.
slowed things down.
I like babies.
But
Yeah.
but there's that. And then also there's some sample data that took a little while to get back from the lab. On Ardura's side, that I believe that they've got that sample data now. So they're having to prepare a report. There's a review and a report that's happening. And what Ardura has told us is that they're looking to get that submitted towards the middle of March, maybe third week of March.
And why I ask about the pilot study is the Hayes Caldwell group really is going to either have to have a third trailer or like try and immediately start replacing the existing membrane inside the building. So there was some thought process there on whether, these couple of people who performed this pilot, if Canyon Regional will be able to select from one or more of them. One of the things that I'd asked in a construction committee meeting is for staff to really evaluate whether we want to mix and match at the facility. There's already 2 Paul trailers there. Do we want to mix and match? Should we just stick with Paul? Because how much of a burden does that end up putting on operations? So just some stuff for us to consider. I mean, we're still ways away from even knowing. I mean, TCEQ is going to take 3 months to review any data they receive, if not longer. But something for us to keep on our radar here as we talk about operations.
Well, and I can tell you, no, the operators don't want to mix and match. And also, depending on how long it takes the TCEQ and how urgent this need becomes for the third trailer, we might not be at liberty to go with anybody else because Paul's already, approved for use. If we can't get approval for the other 2, then that's going to kind of hamstring us. But they're working right now to see, really ascertain how much can we produce with the Coke, membranes right now to see exactly where we're at going into the warmer months. So.
Are those the old Coke UF membranes that you have to pin?
Yes, sir.
Oh, gosh.
And
Yeah.
I've been asked recently, are there just no other available? Going back a while, they were looking everywhere, including eBay. And, even back then, a few years, they were only able to find used ones. There are no more left.
Wow.
So, we might find some used ones, but, I think that's more risky than buying a used car. You just never know what you're going to get. So, yeah. So.
Yeah, and I know I've talked a lot, but I do want to mention that part of the reason why that is when Coke came out with the Target 2 membranes, they're polymerics, but they're made out of polysulfone, which was when membranes first came out. That was the material that was good. But, Paul came out with their PVDF, I believe it's called, which is a much more sturdy product. It lasts longer. It works better. And so Coke everybody went away from the polysulfone type membranes. You just can't get them anymore.
Well, we kind of had a rookie dude played on us, didn't we? On those, weren't they obsolete before they were even put in?
Yeah.
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 Terry, that's a fair thing to say. They would put them in and then later on it was, oh yeah, we stopped making these.
I mean, not a Canyon Regional's fault.
No, but it was not. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Not ideal.
We beat it to death. That's good information, guys. I got a bunch of notes on it. So, okay, let's move on to Wells Ranch. Well, why don't we do this too? Let's go quickly through Wells Ranch and then so we can get down to general topics. So, Wells Ranch, is there as much going on there? Terry, we'll just let you take that one away.
So we got the RFQ response statements in. And so the selection committee will evaluate those, and we intend to come to the April Board of Trustees meeting with a recommendation for a firm on that. For the owner's advisor, we did execute the amendment with Mr. Bloomberg. So that is done, and we're just moving forward on that, developing the RFP. Once we get an owner's advisor on board, we'll move forward with developing the RFP for a P3 agreement.
So I think this is important for the Board of Trustees, right? So I think probably on the agenda on Monday night, y'all are going to have an item for the Bloomberg, most likely. We'll look at that in a minute. And then so I know there's 4 entities left. I know 3 of us are good to go. We have 1 that's not good to go. I mean, so not good to go yet, right? Not good to go, Devin, but not yet, right?
No, we're very interested in it,
Okay.
and the board just has a couple questions, so working
Okay.
through that. And
Yep.
actually, legal and I will reach out to Carrie with some.
Absolutely. So I think that what we're going to have to do is the the Board of Trustees is probably going to have to authorize the general manager to conclude the agreement, right? Because you won't have all the subset agreements is what I'm driving to for the board to take action on. So maybe a, authorization for the general manager to execute the agreements would probably be the right recommendation.
So they're individual agreements. So yeah, we can do the three.
Yeah.
And
So
then
if you
get
get
authorization.
if you get the trustee to authorize you to sign off on them as they come, then I think that's the action the trustees need to do.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be able to see all four of them together is my point.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Yeah.
Right. And we do have them, have it on the agenda. We actually had all four, wasn't certain about Springs Hill. But the only difference in any of the agreements is just the quantities and the dollar amounts for
Of
each
course.
one. So
Yep. I got that part. Okay, cool. B and C wells 214, 1 and 3.
Wells 2 and 14 upgrade project. Currently they're working on well number 14, doing electrical layout and trenching. Conduit for the generator and ATS. At well number 2, we're pending operations go ahead for work pending on well number 3. So that those two tie together.
So I didn't hear what you said on 14. I'm sorry.
14 right now, the electricians are out there yesterday doing the electrical layout and trenching for conduit for the generator and ATS.
So 14's electrical work is ongoing.
Yes.
And and 2, you were waiting for what?
Well, work on number 3 to be functional.
Oh, so all right, I see. So 2 is not going right now because of 3 issues. Okay, well, what's up with 3?
Deferred operations.
Yeah.
Well, reinstalled now. Had issue with going to stainless steel, they get thread, we had to haul them back to fucking Dallas, re-thread them.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll get it all put back in off today, hopefully.
Okay.
So that's good. And, let them join yesterday still to put in. And the problem was on the collars, is what it was. It wasn't the pipe, it was the collars that they made.
Yeah.
So anyhow, they getting that done. The motor's ready to go. We got it. We had it ready. So as soon as we get it, we'll get it flushed and pull it back to you. And once I see that it pumps, we will move the rig over to the other well, which is right beside it.
So it's a coordinated dance. We're just sequencing between,
I don't want another well down until
yeah.
we get that one going.
All right. So well 1, that's the last
Well,
one.
one is the well that we got to re-drill.
Yep.
Trying to get the subcontractor out there now to put the pad for the rig. We met out there, Friday a week ago, I think it was, or the Friday before, late one evening with the driller, and they got the location and the direction and everything set up for them to do it. They just haven't remobilized. We should get either approval or non-approval from TCEQ for their date is Saturday.
So
that's the date they gave me.
Is a TCQ approval good now or no?
No, that's when I should find out. They're going to review it on Saturday, they're saying.
Okay.
March 7th, the date they gave me.
Okay. So we're still waiting on TCQ.
So, but we were, trying to get the sub back out there, get him going so that they can pull the rig in and get all the casing stuff is already ordered.
Okay.
It's kind of waiting to be delivered now.
Okay.
So.
Do you have something, Brandon?
No.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I thought we were putting the well in last week, and so we were delaying electrical work on well 2 for that, and now we're another week past. That's all.
Yeah.
Just the coordination. I know that y'all are trying to coordinate wells being down and stuff.
The bearings didn't come in.
Got it.
Couldn't put it together. So it was shipping. They got shipped, but disappeared for a week.
Got it.
And all of a sudden, poof.
All right.
I want all your wells to be back online and 2 and 14 to be upgraded all. I want everything at the same time.
Yeah,
That's all.
exactly. Yeah, we want it all now. I got you.
That's why I said no at first.
Okay. Anything else on Wells Ranch we need to talk about? Good. Everyone's good. Okay. General topics, Gonzalez water leases. Do you want to handle too much of that now, or you just want to make an announcement on that one?
I think really the main thing is that Chelsea's been working with James Benet. You have your map finished. She's looked at scenarios. different scenarios for, different amounts and different leases. We're going to be presenting that, she will be presenting that to the Board of Trustees on Monday. And then I want to get a meeting with all the Wells Ranch folks, to talk about it in the near future. And after that, I think we're at a point to where, we can give you a good beat on these scenarios for the water costs. And then once we kind of know how much we're looking at, then we can start looking at high level, project costs to develop that. I'll be the broken record over and over on this. We want to be the first project to get a permit application in for brackish water desal. So I want to, once we get that, know what we're shooting for, I want to hit the ground running and really move forward right away with that project.
Yeah, makes sense. I think, all right. So if you're going to show those if you're going to show your work on Monday night, right? I'm just, putting on my advisory hat for a second and giving y'all some advice, whether or not you take it. I'm afraid that when we pop up the maps in front of the Board of Trustees, right? I mean, we're going to, no offense to the Board of Trustees, but it's going to be a bunch of people looking at something that they don't normally look at. And I don't know much more than just informing them in general, that you're going to get out of it. I'm not sure you're going to get any decisions. Are you asking for any decisions?
No. So the intention at least is to show one or possibly two maps and just sort of remind and talk about at a high level what I've been looking at. I am working on a write-up, so a good narrative with maps, some tables, like a pretty fair amount of detail on what is coming out to be 4 scenarios, one of which has some sort of options buried into it. Yeah. And so, I want to have that completed and shared before we have the Wells Ranch meeting. So I don't think I could explain in detail and do justice to a point where people could give feedback or make decisions in 15 minutes on Monday night.
No, you can't.
It really, it's such a big question. I think it demands like a full meeting where I'm really walking through all of it, but there will be, a pretty comprehensive write-up, plain language. I haven't beaten it to death, but a document that will be distributed for, all of the members to read through, that I think does a good job of explaining what was looked at and the considerations and why. And I've started putting questions to Joan to get to the dollar cost piece that you'd requested as well.
So, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, right? I want you to be successful in this endeavor, right? And I think it may be helpful that we define the problem for the Board of Trustees in a very, clear sort of manner. I mean, I believe the problem to be is we have a bunch of groundwater leases that cost money, and we need to make a decision on how we want to move forward with the production of those things, right? And so maybe, and this could be what you're doing, maybe I'm just saying it differently, maybe if you take that and you're almost like introducing the issue, right? But I don't think it's not the right way to say it. I think what it requires is to have your work probably first with the entities, right? And then come back to the trustees, because the entities are going to inform their trustees about where we're going, right? I'm just trying to think of the most successful way, because this is, I believe, one of the biggest strategic issues that, Canyon Regional faces, because we've amassed a lot of water leases and it's very expensive to do it. And where do we go from here? And which is a good problem to have. I just want us to have the best success of laying it out. I mean, that makes sense. And, so maybe just, introduce the problem in a clear sort of way to the board. And that might be the way to proceed. That would be the most helpful. Just thinking. I mean, what do you think, Brandon?
I agree. But I think Monday, it makes a lot of sense to have a high level overview and being able to tell the board that you got $1 million liability here that's unfunded. Because that's what it is. It's $1 million liability. It's unfunded in those numbers. And Canyon Regional has additional water available. And that may trickle from the trustees down to management at the local entities as well.
Yeah.
Canyon Regional has a problem they need solved by takers of water. Yeah. We need water. maybe that helps
Yeah.
break a log jam there.
We need to
too.
work it two ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe high level with the board and then more information with the entities and general managers. That might be the most effective way to solve it. But anyway, okay, didn't mean to sidetrack us, but I think it's very important that is a hugely important topic, I believe, financially and for water supply in the future. So.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. All right, let's see what's next. Master plan development. We don't really need to talk about that. You just have an RFQ out, right?
Well, it's not out yet. No updates. But yeah, I have had a couple meetings to talk about what that RFQ looks like.
Okay, so that's pending. Wells Ranch tour debrief, facilities associated costs, Wells Ranch access road meeting. Why don't we handle, when did we want to talk about, you brought in a list. Do we talk about it now? And then we do need to talk about the Wells Ranch access road, but why don't we dive into the list you guys brought in? Did everyone get a copy? I think Carrie handed out a copy of the list. Okay, so from when we went to Wells Ranch, right? And so just, so we visited all three treatment facilities. So kind of, what the objective was with those meetings is to go out and see firsthand so we could help the staff advocate for the things that we need to get advocated for in terms of problems within the plants, operator things that cause operator daily issues. We wanted to see what those things were and attack it. So we've been to all three. And so we kind of saw the same sort of things, out of the Wells Ranch, just a completely different technology, a completely different plant run completely different than the other two. But there still was some, maintenance items and things that Austin would be interested in out there. So anyway, so it looks like Carrie's got a list of things together for us, and we're going to look at kind of two things together: how much this list cost, what's the severity of the priority, and then look with how much money we have to apply to it kind of simultaneously. So I'll just hand it over to Carrie.
Well, and these lists, so for each facility, they're in order of prioritization. If I heard my operators correctly, we met this week to talk about it. Lake Dunlap has a whole laundry list of things. One thing that's not included in Lake Dunlap is any delta that might be for the final cost of the tank rehab. We had some money budgeted for that. But once the design is finished, we'll get a final cost estimate and see if there's any delta on that. I didn't feel like that should be put in here. So these are the items that the operators said, we could really use to replace right away.
Okay. So these ones, just going down the list, and I think, is this your list, David? I'm assuming it's your list. Yeah. Clarifier mowers, man. Sold, brother. We're in. Do you need like gears and anything else to go with it?
No.
That's just,
that's
the motor and everything.
For both clarifiers?
Yeah.
So long term though, and when I say long term, I mean midterm, not really long term. These clarifiers are in need of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
We won't be able to take one down to rehab it until we get a third clarifier.
Yeah.
Now you're talking millions, $5 million, $4 or $5 million. So this is the motors and the stuff they're going to do now is great, but we need a third clarifier anyway, but that's something we're going to be plugging into a CIP or whatever we label it as for the future.
Okay. That makes perfect sense, right? Because what we want to avoid is another clarifier outage without a part, to correct it in the middle of the summertime. So if you don't have the repair parts or, better motors, so it's like what I'm really approaching this is like, what can we do right now that has money that we can do right now that can get done in a relatively short amount of time beyond major engineering or CIP projects.
Yeah.
So.
And my thought, when I issued the different committee charges, was this group, the Board of Managers, really being able to focus on the operational needs and be able to help provide a recommendation to the Budget Committee on what those needs are? Because the first thing that I've been here coming here for 10 years, The first thing on the chopping block in the budget by the budget committee is these maintenance items. It's always the first thing because it's the thing you can touch, right? There are other things that you just aren't going to change. Raw water costs, you're not going to change. Those are the things that get touched and they get chopped off. And then we're here talking about a laundry list of things that need to be done. And so in my mind, this group would kind of look at these with staff, make some recommendations to the budget committee to make it more difficult for the budget committee to say, nah, we don't need to do that. We can wait. It provides a little bit more weight to it. And then the budget committee gets those approved to the board of trustees and hands these projects on, depending on their size, over to the construction committee, make sure they're getting done and knocking the list out. I think that kind of flows pretty well in my mind. And that's how I set those committee charges up.
Yeah. Exactly.
So in my mind, what we need is this list fiscal year 26 list, fiscal year 26, 27 list, fiscal year 26, 27, 28 kind of list.
I was thinking fiscal year 26, but David, I'll let you.
24.
Well,
No, really, this is stuff that's going to fail, that needs to be done,
Great.
has to be done if y'all want water. But plain and simple. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't do some of this, it's not working,
Perfect.
I mean,
Well, so if we take this combined with what the budget committee gave me for numbers, if I'm reading this right, the budget committee, or not the budget committee, the staff tells us, so we have $853,000, $853,857 available that we have today. So staff is asking for $305,000 of the 800. That would leave us a balance of 500,
Plus,
right?
the $100,000 chiller is already in the budget. Like, there's no reason, y'all don't even need to be talking about it with this.
So the chillers-
It can be done.
but it didn't get ordered.
Okay.
I've been waiting for it to come in. It was supposed to be in this winter, so we get it installed. I talked to him the other day. I said, "Where's it at?" Well, it never got ordered.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
In all
And
honesty,
it is American. It's not coming from overseas, so we can't get parts this time.
so really, we're only talking about 205,000, not
Yeah.
305, because it's in
So
the
it's not
budget for
even-
26.
So this was already in the budget. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
So they still need to do it, but we don't have to take that to the budget committee and say, hey, we need to spend this 305. It's really 205. So that's helpful is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, makes sense.
And they don't even have to wait for that. If it comes in, whenever staff feels like they can take it down, do whatever they need to do, it's already approved for them.
Well, so that's kind of the thing too, right? Because this list of things, we don't have to put every one of these little things in the budget, right? I mean, to spend the money, right?
No.
Because it's essentially O&M, isn't it?
I mean, most of this stuff we would have done on, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stuff that,
But we didn't budget this much money, right? How much money did we budget?
Well-
I thought this was stuff that was in addition.
We
to
got to look
what-
at the budget.
I thought this was in addition to what we budgeted for O&M.
Looks like-
just our
Looks like
standard.
for Lake Dunlap, you had 182,000. I have the budget, so I'm not guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
182,000 ozone chiller replacement, water softener, and chemical pumps. But for 182,000
That was all that was in there.
for Dunlap.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's under your O&M.
Okay. So really given that, how much money will we need? Because really what we're asking the board is to do is to put this, basically, when they do the budget amendment, right? And when the budget committee is, we want to put an extra blank amount, which appears to be somewhere roughly around $200,000 to execute these things.
Yes, and then I would recommend that staff already identified these other things. If they're not kind of part of this water softener and chemical pumps, that's already approved, that they should do that. This list doesn't replace what they already have budgeted.
Yeah,
To me, we had leftover money in fiscal year 25.
That's right.
We want to find a home for it, and it's in these items that are so important that need to be done.
Right.
So we already have the money. We really don't have to do anything.
So
The
we
money
can-
was already collected, right?
Well, for the chiller, but not for these other items.
For these other items, I think what we should do is we should provide a recommendation to the budget committee while they're reviewing the extra funds we had from fiscal year 25 and
Yeah.
ask them and actually kind of hopefully tell them, recommend to them that here's some items they can spend that money on.
Yeah.
And that we've looked at this list and we think that this is a good list to spend those excess funds on to help at least in fiscal year 26. We still need a fiscal year 27 list.
That's right.
Because we want to have that in the budget too.
Yeah.
Next year, you're going to have more stuff.
Right.
And we want to make sure we got it.
We've been working on that too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is stuff that needs to be done now. It has to come in and get done.
Yeah, David is working with his guys on a 5-year list.
Okay.
And prioritizing that.
So in here, are there any things that y'all see that y'all have questions on that y'all don't think make sense? I mean, a lot of this makes sense to me. A lot of the items I see here make sense to me.
I don't have any issues with the list. I say execute. I start like buying stuff today. I mean, that's where I would be. You know?
I mean, we just went to Hayes Cole. We heard the problem with the intake.
Yeah.
How many feet of water were on top of it? Is it inches at this point? I mean,
Yeah, let me go on down to the list. So Hayes Caldwell, so it says immediate fix, David. What do you mean by an immediate fix?
Well, so,
Yeah. If David's right.
they're looking at another screen. Maybe we can replace this existing screen on the intake. But you know, it's going to take some engineering and stuff on that. I've got the emergency second pump set up down there. Go in there and try to tie it into it somehow so that we can actually get it better. 'Cause I just got a end off of a trash pump on it. So we're sucking in big stuff. So this allowed some money to work on that stuff and get some engineering done to figure out what you really can do on this. Did you put that number on there, Kerry?
Yeah.
Well, the 150 is just for the immediate fix and the engineering support.
Right.
We have there was a design that was done that we need to see if we can still use for a permanent fix.
That's basically a wet well or something, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it's basically a wet well, you know, and then you know, a pipe coming over to it, but it's going to be 20 feet in diameter and 80 feet deep. I mean, it's a big cost.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is to get us through, but if we do have to do a new design and we can't use the old one, I have a proposal for that design. It's $143,000.
Yeah.
And it's probably it wouldn't surprise me if that permanent fix, the construction cost approaches $1 million.
Yeah.
So this is to get us through this year, and then next year I want to plug in engineering fees to do the design for a permanent fix if we need it.
could we not use the design done already by Ardura for the facility?
That's what we need to see if we can still
Yeah.
use it. It was done by an engineer that's no longer there. When they weren't Ardura, they were still LNB.
Yeah.
The river's a lot lower, is one of the big things on that,
Okay.
Brandon.
Okay.
We're lower than it's ever been. You know, used to, back then, that water was, you could set up on, you know, get on top of it and barely keep your nose above water, where now it's just deep, you know, I don't know, there was a lot bigger screens and stuff that was going out there, so we went from a 20-inch to a 48-inch, and you know, you got to keep it off the bottom some, and there's not that much water there.
Yeah.
So, you know, something's going to have to be redesigned on that somehow or another.
New Army Corps review
Yes.
on a redesign. Yeah.
TCEQ, environmental.
Yep.
Any environmental work will probably not be accepted. We'll have to update that.
Best as you can keep it in the original scope of the Hayes Caldwell project, the better off you will be on archaeological and everything.
You know, the thing about Hayes Caldwell that I think about too, right? So, I mean, we've got so many different moving pieces at Hayes Caldwell, right? I mean, it's almost like, so we got a new storage tank there. We got, you know, 2 filter trailers. One's not in operation. One is in operation. We have, you know, the bank of the old Coke filters. And I don't know, for some reason, I think I recall there was like 3 different stages. Is that right? Of the Coke filters there. And I'm not, you know, this is from the tour, right? So apologize for my memory. But then we have the intake issue. So what's interesting is if we throw money at the intake issue, but we don't have the filtration issue, you know, or vice versa, we throw money at the intake, but we don't have the filters working. The end result is you're going to reach the summertime, you're not going to have a plant. So how do we put those things together simultaneously to make this bad boy work, you know? Because, I mean, it seems like a pretty impossible task sometimes, you know?
Well, and that's why I put the immediate fix on there, because we need to do something at the intake right away.
Okay.
Or, if the water gets any lower, I mean, it's already critically low for us. So
Why don't y'all spend some money to cut the damn wall out of the way of the Coke filters so you can get in there and operate them? The strainers, whatever they are, strainers, yeah.
They're pretty wore out. They're actually worse shape than the Dunlap ones are.
Yeah.
And as soon as this algae gets back to growing with summer here, we're going to be in really bind over there again.
I don't mean,
we're down to 2 stages, so that lowers the flow.
yeah,
We got another stage that we're having issues with
yeah.
that more than likely we're probably going to be down to 1 of the Coke stages always left, so we can split that flow up some and help out some. But I mean, everything needs fixed. Everything is wore out.
Yeah.
So
I just remember, hearing about where it's very hard to operate on the strainers because the wall's in the way. And I'm like, well, take down the wall.
well, we can knock the wall out south side. It don't make any difference there, but that's kind of one of the least of the issues that we're running into right now. I mean, there's nothing over there that ain't wore out.
Yeah. Okay.
It's hard to even put a number to that, 45 million or something.
Yeah.
What we need immediately over there. It's bad. And
Well, the numbers I got from the budget committee says that Hayes Caldwell's got about 623,000 available to spend on immediate fixes from 25. So 240 is good. I'm just not the expert to know if those things are right. The intake certainly seems right. Those other 2 things that, Michael, I mean, from your perspective, make sense to you?
The mobile membrane, I'm not familiar with that, or the water line replacement. I know what its intent there is to do, but that's a TCEQ thing. It sounds like we're waiting on that.
Yeah.
At this point, just build a building around the trailers at this point. But the intake is a pretty big deal. The filtration, the filters, I mean, speaking from experience, they are fun to get to, but you can't get to them. The algae, that's just constant control of the weirs and the clarifiers. So I mean, just doing what you can to keep that clean. There's some type of drain right on the edge of that building. So even if you knock out the wall, you're still dealing with some. I'm gonna say it's one of the.
There's a vault there.
Yeah, there's a vault right there. But the Coke filters, I mean, I know that they're all valved off. I mean, again, it's to look at that. There's probably a lot more that could go into it. The big thing for me would just be obviously the intake being the big one. Whatever we can do to maximize clearing that up and getting that deeper.
I'm good with the numbers. I mean,
The money's not going to go away either,
Yeah.
right? Just because there's maybe 600,000 available and there's only 240 on this list, the money's not going to go away. Just rest of it, put into repair and replacement, or either offsets next year or augments next year.
That's right.
So
I'm with you.
One thing that will help over wherever we get the ozone going, then we can turn up the chlorine dioxide a lot higher, and then we can take care of this algae. It's unreal the difference that it does here. Like right now, I mean, there's no algae growing in this clarifiers out here now.
Yeah.
We can hit it with enough. We upgrade the chlorine dioxide this year.
Yeah.
Where we got enough now. We were running at 100%.
Yeah.
Now then we've got a lot bigger stuff back here. Makes a world of difference. Being able to have enough chlorine dioxide where you can take care of it.
Okay.
And then I guess my question, as far as the penning goes, is the penning just stopped altogether? Or
Oh, no.
no, I didn't know because again, from my experience, I know the lift was always a problem. So I don't know if a new lift is needed, that could be purchased. Then when it goes to like motors, I don't know if do we have the backup motors for each, the back flushes, what comes to us, what goes out to the other way. So I think looking at those numbers, or at least across all the board is like, what can we have, or what can we put towards a backup in the event of a lightning strike or a power glitch or whatever the case may be, and something's burned up.
There's an additional motor there going your way. Backwash, you got additional. The feed pumps now, you got extras because the flow's down. We can't run it through the system no more. The pumps going towards Maxwell, there's 2 of them there. We try to get by with only using one most of the time, but now then maybe we got this other line laid, we might can do a little bit more, but there is not a third motor for it. I mean, that's something I can come up with one if I need it. Yeah. It's just need it all. I mean, I keep saying that, but it's in really bad shape over there. And, we're patching, we're putting patches on patches and have forever, and it's not getting any better. It's getting worse, getting harder and harder to do it. And just so y'all know, the DuPont that did the pilot, they do not have a trailer to come up with for a trailer. So we're looking at either the
West Tech.
4A with West Tech or either Paul on the 2. We've got some numbers together from them. We're a couple months out on the fixes. You could come up with another trailer. You bring in another brand, so where you're running 3 water systems there, trying to figure out how to make everything do the CIPs and flushes with all these little vaults. It runs into a very big issue.
Yeah.
And you got to do all your different DITs every day, and it just it's really running into a pretty tough to get by.
Before we lose members, Phil, out of here, I want to do something with this, right? Because we've got the budget committee is going to meet soon, and I really don't want them making a decision without some input from us.
Right.
And they make, just stick it all in repair and replacement, and we're just stuck waiting another year to do some of this stuff.
Right.
This is the list we have in front of us. We need to remove the new chiller off of there as far as the cost, because you already have that. Y'all can do that whenever you want. That's been approved.
It's ordered.
Yeah.
It's been ordered.
You don't even have to worry about anything budget committee has to say unless they're trying to take money away, which you're not going to. You got the blower at Wells Ranch. That's in the budget 2 and O&M already in the fiscal year 26. You can pull that one off. You don't need the budget committee to approve that one either. You've got some chemical feed stuff at Hayes Caldwell, which you may have already done. You talked about the chlorine dioxide. If you haven't, it's in the budget for you. You don't have to wait for us or for anyone to tell y'all to go.
Well, the big reason that we didn't, because part of that upgrade over there was tearing all that down and moving it all and replacing it. So kind of why we've been holding off on them.
I don't know how the clarifiers, if there's backup parts, the gearbox is there and the motor's there, whatever catastrophic issue we had there, if we can prepare for it from happening over there.
I'm with you. I want to see a list that's much longer than this one, but it's the one we have in front of us. I really want to at least get this to the budget committee. And if there are more things, Mike, as we go on, if the list for 27, 28, 29's got some stuff we can move into 26, then Board of Trustees can meet in the budget committee meeting and change it too. I just want to make sure they get something that we can start on, because we're halfway through the fiscal year.
So what did you say about the chemical mixers?
There's some other things in the budget that's approved already that they don't have to worry about taking through the budget committee or taking through anyone else. It's been approved by the trustees. They can go do it. The blower at Wells Ranch, that can come off the list. So we're not even asking the budget committee to consider paying $220,000. We're telling them use $120,000 so we can at least get caught up on some of this stuff.
Yeah. What about the non-construction capital items down at the bottom? Like the skid steer and backhoe, was that in the budget?
I don't believe so, no.
It was not. We could use both of those at any of the locations.
Some of it was in previous years, not in 25 though.
And just something else, just the thought is, I know that in the times that we've had to valve off the line in between the distribution system and the plant, that there's been some issues getting the valves to fully close. I don't know if that ever got repaired. That was just something else to think about as far as.
Oh, yeah.
The new one got put in, Mike.
So what I think on the non-construction capital, like equipment and stuff, I think that's something that probably needs to go through the normal budget cycle, I would believe. Because I think in my mind anyway, I think Brandon and I are aligned on this one. It's taking the money that didn't get spent last year and put it to immediate value in our plants now to address things that we need to know now. I think that's kind of the point. So I don't know if like equipment needs always. Yeah, of course, if you need equipment means let's ask the budget committee for a budget amendment on that. But I think that's not exactly what I'm looking for in this list. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing when I saw it too.
Yeah. And I think, just for an aside, right? I mean, we're doing some security cameras and I'm doing it a heck of a lot cheaper than $100,000. So there may be other alternatives if y'all just call my team and I'll give you some ideas.
Well, why can't we recommend this list and say, hey, there were some items in the general, that starts getting into, equipment that wasn't quite what we were looking for here, but give it to the budget committee and say, what do y'all want to do with this?
Yeah.
Here's something staff brought up, wasn't quite what we were looking for, but here you go. And at least recommend these items at the plant to the budget committee for their consideration for the money left over from fiscal year 25.
Well, Brandon made a motion.
I did.
So even though we don't vote, I'm totally okay with doing that. I mean, let's just take the list as amended with the items that are already out of the budget, cut off the non-construction capital type of things at the bottom and say, hey, budget committee, this is the list.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any problems with that?
We'll let them know it's an evolving list, as all things are, but it's a start.
Yep. I'm okay with that if you guys are okay with that.
The one question for Adam, the security cameras, is that something that we're required to have eventually, or just we want
No,
to improve?
It is a requirement. Excuse me. It was listed in our risk and resilience assessment that we need to outfit these facilities, especially high traffic facilities, with security cameras within 5 years. Well, 2 of those years are almost up, so that means we're counting down. We need to get them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say, if Adam, if you're working on that, give us a call. We've got some pretty ingenious ways, lower cost to get cameras up that are, you can view them on the web from wherever you are, et cetera, et cetera. We won't go into details, but give us a call.
That'd be good. I did get one quote just because I kind of wanted to know where I was at from a company, but they probably gave me a quote on the Cadillac version. So,
well, they did. Well, we've got something that works extremely well. I won't bore everybody, but just give us a call, right? It's working pretty well for us. So, okay. Yes, sir.
27 list, as soon as possible, because we got the budget starting and I want to make sure you'll have the items in there.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Brandon, like you're wanting stuff like this, all right? So stuff that needs to be worked on, clarifiers, just take a clarifier. I can't go out of a clarifier during the winter. Who's going to stop taking water long enough for me to work on it? I've got to get some new construction built, get another built so I can take it offline. It's no different than having one tank at Hayes Caldwell. We ain't been able to patch the holes in it for years because we didn't have a tank. You can't take it offline if y'all want water.
Yeah,
So
we'll plug that clarifier in.
So we need to, that's part of this, that a lot of that bigger stuff that needs to be on here, you can't even think about putting in there because there's no way I can take it out of service right now. Keep y'all up.
My suggestion for staff is a comprehensive plan of what are those items. I've said in this meeting many, many times that the way these facilities were built were the bare minimum and an afterthought to having that redundancy that Michael brought up about having these other pumps and having these other things. The redundancy, there's no well redundancy. We talked about that with Wells Ranch. There wasn't a tank redundancy. We talked about that for almost 9 years.
And Garver is working on like the clarifier here and now and stuff, but we need to get some of that done.
Yeah, and so we talked about CIP, and sometimes CIP is looked at as just building additional stuff to treat more water and do more. But there's also a component of the redundancy we need in wells. We need it in we saw at Wells Ranch, we only have the bare minimum we need in the filtration. I think, did Austin say maybe 2 more for the right redundancy?
I got quotes coming for stuff on that right now.
And so that's part of a CIP that's hard for us as member entities to ignore. Yeah, it comes with a big price tag, but the cost of the water not being able to produce, because these facilities also weren't designed to do daily direct integrity tests.
Yeah.
They weren't made.
It's no different than like these wells. We did these upgrades on these wells. Take well 14. y'all took 920 more acre feet of water that we don't have.
Hmm.
Because during the peak time when you're wanting that, these wells are already running wide open.
Well,
We pumped a lot of that water last year.
Well,
So
we
I'm
don't-
just saying,
We don't need to get in the weeds on all
Okay.
that. So we're developing this 5-year CIP plan. If
Okay.
clarifier is that urgent, it goes next. But the next meeting that we have for operations, we're going to do a FIMIA analysis on every one of these projects so that they're going to have a priority.
I'm
And
getting
if the clarifier is highest priority, then that goes in the 27 CIP or
Yeah.
whatever the heck we're going to call it. It's going to
Sure.
go, we need to plug it into that budget.
I think it's important for y'all to explain it in a way that it's a CIP that is not for going and making a whole bunch more water, another 5 MGD at a facility, and that's why you're having to do it. You're really doing it to provide the redundancy that we need to operate at 100%.
Right.
That's what we're really looking at.
Right.
And right now you have the most support that I've ever heard at this organization to do this work. I mean, y'all been around for a while. This is the most support I've heard for Canyon Regional getting to a place where it can do 100%. Please run with that support. Board of Trustees changes, Board of Managers changes. Just, that's all I'm asking, just run, please.
So the trick is, right? So it ties back to the master plan, right? If we had the good master plan, I know we're working on getting a master plan, but like once we have the CIP list, whatever we call it, I don't care if we call it the Santa Claus list, it don't matter, whatever it is. But we're going to have to take it and we're going to have to take it down in years, right? We're going to have to do design of 1 year, right? So we fund the design package for a new clarifier. Then we're going to have to start the construction. And then are we going to take debt? I mean, there's all these other different things, but you can't start unless you got the list, right? So I commend you for, getting the list together, but it would be a more comprehensive approach if we had the master plan done. The problem is we're fighting a delay in action. We're trading time for space right now, right? And so we are behind, y'all. We're behind. We haven't done this for years and years and years. And so now the enemy's at our gate, right? The enemy told us, hey, look here, you got 2 clarifiers go down the same week, right? That's what happened. We've got wells dropping at Wells Ranch back and forth. That's what happened. Well, now we're going to have to make a series of bad decisions, right, in order to keep us in water when we should have stepped back several years ago, which we can't go back and correct, right? So that's what we're fighting. We're trading time for space. So we have to be smart in the decisions of where we spend money right now to keep the wells running while we're planning very quickly to get, the CIP list put together. That's kind of where we are. It's just a fact. So anyway. So I'm gonna keep us going. We've been here a while, but that's a good discussion. If you guys are okay and there's no objections, I'm gonna tell this list. And I'm gonna say to the Board of Trustees and my Monday night report that the staff has brought us a list of immediate fixes, and we're recommending that list to the Budget Committee, and we are seeking to use the money that was collected in 25 that was not applied as identified by the audit and other things by the staff in their paper that they gave the Budget Committee. And if you guys don't have a problem with that, that's what we're going to do. I'll go with that. Cool. Is there any other recommendation we need to make to the board that we didn't cover this for? Kerry, we do need to hit the Wells Ranch access road thing real quick, just so everyone's informed of that.
Yeah, so a little bit of history. When the Wells Ranch plant was built, before that, there was a road along High Sierra or High Point Ridge. Some of it was just kind of trail. Some of it was a little more than a Jeep trail. There was a part that was an actual road of sorts. Canyon Regional went in and per TCEQ requirements built an all-weather access road all the way to the facility. In our easement agreement with the landowner, it says that they covenant to us the construction, operation, maintenance of that road. And basically that covenant was to say, hey, Canyon Regional, you're responsible for building this road that's required by the TCEQ and maintaining it, and not me, the landowner. So the residents who also have easement from the landowner to use this road are taking that to mean that we're responsible for maintenance of that road for all access, public use, what have you. And so Canyon Regional, every year, we go out throughout the year and we put fill in There's some areas of the road that get erosion, there's an area that's sugar sand. It's really hard to maintain it, the road. The residents now are pretty much demanding that we put some considerable money into this road, up to and including the possibility of actually paving the road. There are repairs needed. It could stand to have some significant money put into it. I do not believe that Canyon Regional should be held solely responsible for paying for that. There's a lot of residents now. They blame 100% of the wear and tear on the road on Canyon Regional traffic, but there are the other utilities, that have trucks that go up there. There are trash trucks that go up and down. There's fifth wheels and RVs and cattle trailers, and plus just the daily traffic, which in some folks' opinion consists only of small cars. But there's, general traffic. We met with the residents out there, Regina and David and myself, a couple of weekends ago. And, they're pretty deliberate in that we're 100% responsible. And we disagree with that. So moving forward, it won't surprise me if might show up at a Board of Trustees meeting. I've encouraged them to do so. Right now, we're kind of at a stalemate. They have involved county officials. They had a gentleman from the fire department out there to talk about how difficult it is to get a truck down the road. They mentioned that FedEx refuses deliveries to them, although FedEx delivers on down to our facility on a regular basis. So, we're kind of at a stalemate, with their expectations versus ours. And I just want to make this board and the Board of Trustees aware of that, because it's not going to end, anytime soon unless we agree that we're going to, pay 100% of these costs. Yeah. And David, you might know more about that. There's another gentleman that says that he is responsible for it also, and that he has an agreement with Canyon Regional.
No.
Or he had an. Yeah, Yeah, he's the producer.
Is that the mechanic guy on the other side of the
Yeah.
road? Okay.
So he is responsible for the road from what we understand and gather. He he got the easement, and in doing that, he got a part of a lot over there. And then trade he would upkeep the road. Well, there was two people that lived there back then. Now then there's quite a few houses and people moving in from city and all that. So all of his equipment's been broke down, but I did tell him that we'd bring 3 loads of base out there for the sand holes that are there right now to do some repair. But he's saying he can get up and start working on it again. But it's still it's a gravel road. I mean,
Okay.
Nothing's been produced yet, but it's simple as he seems to really want to help. He just, I don't know, as responsible as he thinks he is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got a couple questions. Is this a private road that we're discussing? Has anybody petitioned the county to take it over?
you gotta get it up grade.
Well, yeah, but
They have discussed it with the county. I don't know if they've actually petitioned the county.
Okay.
And the county commissioner, Jacqueline Ott, is involved in this, although she wasn't able to attend the actual meeting. But they've talked to some of the county officials. I think that's the solution, is that the county.
yeah, it's critical infrastructure. I think that they would at least work with you on it.
Yeah.
And then, I know, I don't know if this means anything, but I want to say, as you drive where it turns to go left, if you drive, that is our easement that goes all the way out to the road. So you could essentially make another exit out there. Just, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, yeah, we're not going to solve it in here, but I just wanted you guys to know. Okay, I mean, I spoke to Carrie about it already. I already knew this. So, I mean, about it. So I just wanted you guys to hear it. But anyway, I don't think there's no action required of the.
I think this
board.
is something that's going to end up being a conversation between staff and Canyon Regional's attorneys, and they're not
I
going to be
think
able to come
so.
back to the board of managers and say, here's what our
I think
attorneys
so.
say. It just is a trustee level item.
I think so. Hey, can you pull up the agenda for Monday night? You have it, Michaela. Just see if there's anything on here that we would like to weigh in on as a group. I don't think there probably is, but we'll look real quick. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let's see. Public. Okay. Consent items. Nope. Don't worry about that. You want to reports? Don't worry about the reports. Okay. General business. Takes action on trustees. Okay. The policy is up again.
Yes.
I'm controlling my excitement. Okay, I'm going to say nothing unless y'all want me to. Item B is discuss and consider take special action on administrative policies to review credit card policy. Okay, that's good.
And the budget committee chair reviewed it, said it looked good to her. So
Okay, so all right, good. That's good. She's happy. I'm happy. We're happy. Item number C. I think I'll make the recommendation to the Board of Trustees to authorize the general manager to execute these things as the entities bring them in. And then item number D.
So
Don't know about
this is for the VFD upgrades this impacts the Hayes Caldwell group. Last year, we brought this to the board and there was a cost that Canyon Regional had to pay for that. We chose to pay a cash amount. We had it on hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entities it was budgeted for this year for the entities to pay those amounts. This amendment to the agreement, all it's doing is establishing that Canyon Regional has paid our money and that we are not going to be a part of any debt that's issued for this project, because they will be issuing some debt for the project.
Mm-hmm.
We exercise the option to pay a cash amount instead of being part of the debt service. So this amendment is just confirming, that we're not going to be a part of any debt that's issued for this project.
Seems reasonable to me. So, yeah. Any Hayes Caldwell guys have beef with that?
Here at Dunlap, the Dunlap participants are in the GBRA agreement. Are the participants at Hayes Caldwell in Canyon Regional's GBRA agreement for Hayes Caldwell? It's separate. Okay. Perfect.
And that right there is just strictly for the Hayes Caldwell. It's for the line that goes from here to Hayes Caldwell.
I just didn't know if the Hayes Caldwell, if Mike needed to know that GBRA was going to come and amend. I don't think you're in the GBRA one anyways, but I didn't know if it was, because for GBRA, if I remember correctly, for us here at Dunlap, if there was an amendment to that agreement, East Central would have to sign it too.
Yes.
And
That's correct.
then
This
Saul was never.
Like Dunlap is only for the roll.
Yes.
This is for the line that goes from here to Hayes Caldwell.
I just didn't know if it was a multi-party contract.
Okay. All right. I'll remain silent on this one, if that's okay with you guys. Yeah. Okay. So it's just, I'll only speak to item C then, to the Board of Trustees. Okay. And then the rest of it's all good. Okay. All right. So the only recommendation I'll make two recommendations. Recommendation number one is going to be, Board of Managers are going to recommend to the Budget Committee to fund the list as provided by staff in the meeting today for immediate maintenance needs out of 2025 collected money that we still have on hand. Second one's going to be to support, of course, the Bloomberg project and recommend the general manager signs off on those two things. So only be two recommendations without objection for you guys. That's what I'll take forward. No objections. Okay, cool. Anything else? Yes, Hannah.
I just wanted to say your appointments to the Board of Managers are due by May. So please get those to us by the end of April so that way you can be reappointed for your new year.
Thank you very
Or
much.
duly appointed.
We've already done ours, right? So if the rest of you guys will get your resolutions into Michaela. Michaela, you got mine right? She got it.
No.
You did.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I was about to say. All right. Anybody have anything else? I really appreciate the time and attentiveness today. So we'll see you next time around. We'll see you on Monday night. Okay.
Thank y'all.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
I'm hungry.